Hey everyone, welcome to the Tom's Hardware Podcast for today, April 2nd, 2024. As always, I'm Tom's Hardware Editor-in-Chief Avram Pelch, joined by Raspberry Pi expert Ash Hill, and our very special guest. No, we're not joking. It's not April 1st. We have the young folks from GurgleApps on
Hello.
again. It's been a while. Now they're all grown up. Not quite, but they have an amazing new project to talk about, which they have actually a kit for sale that they've just launched. And of course, they've got an amazing YouTube channel where they teach you about everything from how to solder to how to program your own Raspberry Pi Pico web server, how to prank your dad using Raspberry Pi, although that goes back a ways, and all kinds of other just unbelievable, amazing stuff. Really welcome to the GurgleApps kids. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure, yeah. Well, hello, and thank you so much for having us back on again. We really appreciate it. It's nice to see you guys again. And I guess, yeah, we're GurgleApps. I'm Amelie. This is Ziva. That's Caleb.
Hi.
And we've had the YouTube channel since I was younger than Ziva, I think. That was the first video, was the hacking video where I hacked my dad's computer with the Raspberry Pi. And at that time, it was me and Caleb. And then Ziva started to get involved, and we create videos on all things STEM and computers, and of course Raspberry Pis, because that was sort of our origin where we started doing these videos and started our YouTube channel. And yeah, we're so happy to be here. And yeah, thanks for having us on.
I mean, your channel is just amazing. It's an inspiration. I've learned so much from it. My son has learned so much from it. And you guys just do a really great job of explaining things way better than just about anybody else I have seen of any age. So tell us. I mean, I highly recommend folks just go to your channel and start just looking at all the great videos there. But right now, you actually have a product that you're selling, a new project that anyone can buy and build. Build with their kids, build by themselves. Tell us about it.
Well, firstly, it's
a word clock. Yeah. Word clock, that's the thing in question.
Wi-Fi coloured word clock.
Mm-hmm. But
we're selling it. We're selling it as a kit. Everything here you can buy as a kit, or you could just buy the front and then the matrix, which is making all the
colours. Yeah.
Or you can buy it already made.
Yeah, but what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't recommend that.
But I mean, it's been a long time coming. I think I mean, you could see the very, very first version probably about 10 years ago when we were younger than Ziva. And there's a little video on our YouTube channel if you go far back enough. And I think it's on an 8x8 matrix display, and I think it might even have a bit of paper. The words are in a bit of paper. But yes, so we also wanted to do something originally with the
web server. We were here last year. We seem to be here every year for 3 years.
It's nice to be back and see you guys
last year we were talking about our Raspberry Pi Pico web server.
Mm-hmm.
And we were hoping people would use that in their projects and everything. And after we came on here, our GitHub page got loads of stars and everything on it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so thanks for that.
Thanks for that. That was so brilliant to see. Thank you.
We saw that people didn't really, it wasn't used as much as we'd like, so we thought we'd better make a project with that web server to really show its potential and everything. So this was born.
And the aim of it as well, we've tried to make it as easy to assemble and as sort of easy to, I guess, hack around with as well yourself. So if you're making it yourself, you've got your Raspberry Pi Pico W that is controlling it inside. And I mean, the code is open source. Everything's open source. So you can
files, everything.
Yeah, we've really made it so that you guys can alter it and make it your own as much as possible. Because as well, when we do projects in general, a lot of our subscribers and people that follow us give us so many ideas and seem to have so many incredible projects, and it's really incredible to see. Usually they're better than our ideas as well. So hopefully we can see what other cool things people come up with our web server and the word clock. But yeah.
So how does one program this? Are you primarily programming it in MicroPython, CircuitPython? What are you using?
We're MicroPython to light up everything and do all that side of it. The web server, HTML, Tailwind, all of that. Loads of different JavaScript, loads of different programming languages and stuff to use to make that web server. But it's MicroPython to control the word clock and everything.
And we've got the instructional videos as well, so that it's easy just to sort of take the code and run away with it.
Yeah.
So we've got the code for you done, pre-made.
There's we've released 2 videos on obviously how to get the code on it and how to build it, because that's what you need to make it when you get the product. But we're also working on a video on how you can kind of customize it and how to use some of the other languages, maybe if you're not familiar with them, like the web server side, if you're more of an electronics hardware programming. So we're working on a video to show you how to customize that.
Yeah.
What are all the different ways that it can be customized?
Well, I should have probably printed off what it looks like, but the web server, we've got like little, what are they called? Dragging things, so you can change the brightness of it.
On my iPhone now, if you like.
You can change the brightness of it with a little draggy thing on the web
Is this
server. Yeah, there.
Clock
We've got buttons, obviously,
settings.
drop down menus and everything.
Would you mind holding the microphone?
Yeah.
So I've got it up on my
We've got
phone.
sliders, drop down menus, buttons and stuff on the web server. But it's more like changing those and adding more options onto the web server yourself to do more with the word clock.
So
Very nice.
I'm not sure if you can see, but you can. This is very surface level. You can alter it, control it yourself with the web server. But then with the reflection, there's more customizations you can do on that. But then you can alter the code as well if you.
What words can it display?
Well, we've got it's all the. I mean, any characters that you could make potentially with the words that describe every time in the 24-hour clock.
So we've got half past, quarter to, quarter.
So you could do a little bit of a, what is it, a countdown? Is it countdown? So just to figure out what words you could make with it. But yeah, at the moment, it's programmed just to tell the time.
Well, actually, when you boot it up, because obviously you need to know its IP address to connect to it, we've actually got some scrolling text, so it lights up letters in a certain pattern that makes numbers.
Yeah, so
it scrolls the IP address.
You know, like with the matrix, with like the matrix display with the little circles, it like uses the letters, and you can just imagine the letters, the little circles, and then it makes the pictures and everything. But yeah.
Awesome. So we have some questions from the audience. Ziv Zoolander asks, "Is it dimmable?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can check. It's very bright, so you can change the brightness, right? You are talking about the brightness of the word clock, right?
I assume that's what he.
Yeah.
I assume that's what he's saying.
We've got the control here. Wait, do you mean
And that
I'm not sure if it's
top,
going to focus, but it's
the brightness. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. We can see it right there.
Sorry, the focus is not very good. But yeah.
Ziv also asks, and I think I know the answer, what the rainbow matrix is behind you. Is that a Pimoroni galactic unicorn?
It is, yes. That was when I think one of our first ever like sort of live screens. Oh my gosh, there it is.
I have one too. I have one also.
We're ready to go.
Right in front of me.
We're matching. But one of our first sort of live streams that we did when we started doing live streams, which is absolutely terrifying to do. Like, I'm not sure how you guys do this every single week because it's so scary when you do them.
No shame. I'm too old to be embarrassed.
I get so scared. But the first one that I did, those two did, is you guys went to the Raspberry Pi pop-up store, and that's where they got the Galactic Unicorn, and they got a few other bits and bobs there. But yeah, I think weren't you trying to? What was the mission of that? Was it just to check out the pop-up store?
Yeah.
And
I feel like-
retrieve some pies.
It's a good mission.
Oh yeah, get them online.
Have you guys ever met the folks who run Pimoroni?
No.
No,
No.
we haven't. We'd love to, but we haven't.
I'm happy to make. I'm happy to make an introduction. They're very nice. They're very nice folks. We've had them on the
that'd be
show
really cool.
like a dozen times. Very nice folks. So maybe they want to carry your clock. I don't know. I can't
Wow,
speak for
imagine
them,
that. That would
but
be
they're
cool.
always coming out with really neat stuff. Really nice
Kevin
folks.
had a good question too. Kevin McAleer. He wanted to know just what your biggest challenge was in creating the project.
There's a lot of challenges from like designing it and the code. But I think code-wise, the biggest challenge was running like two things at once with a web server. So for example, if you connected to it on two different devices, it would crash, it just wouldn't work. So that was a big challenge getting that working. And we also, because the Raspberry Pi Pico W inside is really expensive, so it bumped the price of the kit up. So we tried some cheaper ESP32s. And I thought there was something wrong with the code for ages, but it turned out these batch that we got weren't reliable. So took absolutely ages to figure that out. But it was because the Wi-Fi didn't work every now and again on the ESPs, and then some of the pins just stopped working as well. So that was a big challenge.
What's expensive? What do you consider expensive for a Pico W?
£6.
Because here in the US it's $6. I don't consider. I mean, I don't consider that expensive.
Avram, they're kids.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
I guess it
you're
was
buying
more
an electronics kit. It's not bad.
No, I think as a product, like it is really good for a well priced. But then when we're thinking how we're going to afford to make the full set and then sell it at a when we're thinking of how much we're wanting to charge for the product, because obviously it's aimed at all abilities, but as well, we're thinking when we are doing projects, we've obviously not got enough money to spend, a lot of money to spend on projects. We didn't want to make it extortionately priced. So when we're thinking of all the components that are going to partake in making it, we're trying to make it as cheap as possible. I mean, even when we buy components, we try to, even if they're not reliable, the ones that we use for our own little projects, we try to go as cheap as we can.
Well, I have great admiration for your frugality. I mean, I think if you look at what it costs to buy most electronics kits that you would need to make something like that, if you look at what Pimoroni charges for some of their kits, which are very reasonably priced, right? Or Adafruit charges for some of their kits, or Spark Fun, or other companies that are sort of in this space, they're much more expensive than what you're talking about. So I think it's quite reasonable. And of course, people can always go, if they already have one sitting around, they can always go, buy just part of the kit, like you said. So I think it's very reasonable. Consider all the kits where people have to buy an actual Raspberry Pi. I mean, a full Raspberry Pi 4 or 5 that, you're going to be spending at least like $50, right? For just the board.
I mean, as people, well, me specifically, I love a bargain whenever I can get a bargain. So I'm a big cheapskate in that realm.
Yeah,
I love all my club cards and all of that.
I hear you. I think this is quite affordable for everyone who wants to get it. So Stroud asks, are any of the 8x8 grid cells not used?
Well, I don't think so, actually. I think they're all used. Especially in the boot up screen, we use every single one in the boot up, because when it boots up, I'll actually show it. When it boots up, that happens. So
Ooh.
every single one is used.
Ooh, nice.
Thought of that.
Very nice. Very
That
nice.
is slick.
Very, very
I'm
colorful.
going to show that.
That's the scrolling text we're talking about.
Oh,
I like how you can use it as a marquee. That's very dynamic with the design.
yeah.
Just
So
using
what
it
are?
the coolest.
I guess that kind of begs the question: what are some of the coolest use cases that you've had for it so far?
Wait, for what? Sorry, I'm
For
sorry.
for the clock, like what are some of the coolest programs you've had for it? Obviously, I mean, you could use it as a clock, but what else have you done with it or seen other people do with it?
Well, I mean, we're still waiting to see what other people have come up with because we've just released it. I think we sent off our first batch of the kit orders today because we're packing all day the orders that have been ordered. But so obviously we're really excited to see what other people have come up with. But
I think what would be quite cool, I've not tested it yet, but if you've seen our pumpkin eyes, I think because it's coloured as well, making the pumpkin eyes big and coloured, that would be quite cool.
or on like, what if on like your birthday, something you
Oh,
got
it
something
said
on your
happy
birthday,
birthday.
something on your birthday, that would be quite cool. I mean, primarily we've just had in mind what we wanted to sell as the product and what the basics what it had to have. Like obviously telling the time and the displays that we needed. But I mean, in the future,
There is room to add.
there is time. Well, there is time, yes, to add a few more things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd kind of like to see a way of showing the weather on it or some type of external, information that it could get from the internet.
Yeah.
It's a good
Or
idea.
future projects.
Yeah.
Use
Future
the
updates to
LED
it.
colors
Oh yeah,
for
future updates.
temperature. Yeah.
Sorry.
Andy says, I'm probably going to play with making some alternative 3D printed frames for mine. Yeah, that's great. And you're sharing the STL files, right?
We are.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be so good to see because obviously we've just got the simple box design, but that obviously took a while to.
Andy, we know you're a usual on our live streams every Sunday,
I was
so
gonna
you can
say.
show us sometime.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stroud Birdcam as well. The comment. I think we packaged yours today. I remember packaging yours, the ones that had been purchased. But yeah, sorry.
Fantastic. Andy also wants to know how you collaborate on creating the code. Does one of you handle it, or do you kind of discuss it?
Well, it's all of us together, really.
I guess it chops and changes in general with the channel. It chops and changes on who's got on. So who's got what on. So, like, let's say with the YouTube videos, for example, like one person is editing. Originally it was like one of us just doing all the editing, but then now it's a complete mixture. And if like I've got an exam the next day or an exam that week, then I'll probably take a complete backseat and just do all my revision that week. And then Caleb and Ziva will take up the slack.
So sometimes all three of us are on the computer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's one person.
It really just
depends on what's happening.
Because we've all got like all of our things that we've got on outside of school, like all of our extracurriculars and keeping up with the schoolwork and everything. Because producing one video when we were doing just videos instead of live streams, it could take up to like 3 months or to half a year to produce one video. I remember there was like the Rotary Encoder one.
That was a long video.
That was a long video and that took so long to do. But then, yeah. So obviously,
that's why I'm so impressed with your videos. I thought you make it look so simple. Well, you make it look so easy. You look so confident in what you're talking about. You make it look so easy.
Just with so many outtakes.
And I think about how when we try to make videos, which we don't do that much because of how much time it takes, and wow, I'm just so impressed that you're able to do such high quality work that like we couldn't match that. Like honestly, we could not, because the setup that you have, and you do just so much detail, lots of great shots. Really know exactly what you want to say. I mean, I assume do you have a full script, or you just kind of have an outline of what you want to say when you do a video?
We tried doing scripts. Because we got a teleprompter app on the iPad, so we tried doing that, but we just couldn't do it. So we've got kind of notes on what we need to go over, but it's not really a script.
But a lot of the time, like, we will do an edit of a video, or we'll record all these little tiny clips, and then one of us will edit it together, and then we'll all watch over and we'll watch it and we'll be like, no, we can't put this live, this is not good. And especially when we do have like a script to follow, sometimes it does look like we've been put in front of like a hostage video, like it looks so bad, so we've just got to scrap the whole video, redo it. So the amount of videos we've got that are technically finished, but we've just deleted them and restarted to make it as good as possible.
So there's a vault. There's a secret vault of
gigabytes and gigabytes
of deleted scenes.
There's hard drives and hard drives.
Cutting room floor.
Gosh, but did those ever get released? Gosh.
You know, when I was in college and I took speech class, my speech teacher taught me something I'll never forget, which is she said, don't have a script in front of you for a speech, just have an outline, because otherwise you're going to sound wooden. And I've always gone with that. I know lots of people use teleprompters, but I've always gone with sort of an outline of what I want to say rather than a strict script.
That seems to work so much better as well. You look more natural. But because we've started doing live streams more frequently, and we're going to try do one every week. But those I find quite a lot more enjoyable. But also, I think our old videos, of course, they're educational and everything, but they are very much, all the errors are taken out. We look so much smarter than we actually are. Like it really cuts out all of our rambling. Like you can tell now I'm like rambling as well. It makes us sound really like well-spoken and smart and everything, but really we're completely the opposite. And it's just quite nice on the live streams to sort of show what we are actually like, and that we don't actually know everything. And oftentimes we'll get asked questions and we won't know how to answer them, and it's just to show that. I mean, in our last one we did, was it a Trivial Pursuit?
2 weeks ago, that was.
Trivial Pursuit, and oh my gosh, our general knowledge, we got every single one wrong. And
well, in our defense, we were doing, because it's a retro gaming section, we're doing the live stream.
Yeah.
And so it was 1980s based questions.
Yeah.
1986.
1980s children were pretending to be like. So.
Yeah. So of course.
That
of like of that time.
That's what made it more fun, though.
Yeah.
I mean, those are challenges. I don't know if you had one of the retro sets, or you just had an old set that was made at that time. But yeah, those can be a challenge.
Well, we used an emulator because we've got our dad's a ZX Spectrum.
Oh, very nice.
A lot of people seem to have so many things to say about the ZX Spectrum, and people seem to really enjoy us talking and showing about it. So we got a ZX Spectrum emulator, and we've got some of the old games. Well, our dad recommends some of the games that he used to play,
which are on the emulator. And so, like, each week we'll play a new game, and he gives us like a little note, and he'll write down like a few little clues, because the last one we did, one of them was like the Hulk, and Gremlins, and obviously you've got to put in the exact word for it to move on to the next level, and so it's like a what shall I do game. Not familiar with it.
Like a what do you call it? Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't explain myself there. But yeah, that took a while to sort of understand what you've actually got to do. So he would gives us like little clues if it's taking too long of the next step in the game, and little commands that he found were really useful in the game and everything. But yeah, it's quite fun to do. Sorry, I've completely diverged off topic there.
That's okay. That's really cool. I think a lot of people who watch this are probably played with the ZX Spectrum or something like that. And listen, people of all ages can appreciate the retro tech. My son, who's 11, he and I loves retro games. He's somehow gotten into reading about and watching videos about old versions of Windows, and he'll like pull me aside at the dinner table now and say, "Did you know that DOS 4.0 used to crash a lot?" And I'll tell him like, "Yeah, I hate to tell you, but I actually ran it, and it did crash a lot for me." but
it's dinner side conversation, Abram.
Yeah, that's what he just wants to talk. So like in 2 weeks,
A lot more
It-
intellectual than our dinner conversations.
So in like 2 weeks, we're actually going to go in this area around New York. They're going to have a vintage computing festival, and we're going to go, and they're going to have people displaying old computers, and who knows? Maybe there'll be a ZX Spectrum there. Maybe there'll be a terminal. Who knows?
He's gonna have a blast.
He made me download Microsoft Bob for him. Let me put it to you that way for anyone who even knows what that is.
And you did, right?
Yeah, I did. It didn't work
Good.
very well, but that's another story. That's another
That's-
story. But hey, I think what's really neat is that you can experience all of this classic technology on a Raspberry Pi, and you can use it for things, and then you can take something that's very very modern, like a very modern, somewhat more modern, like a web server, and set it up in your house, and that's pretty awesome. Have you figured out, is there an easy way to connect the word clock to the internet?
So that's what we spent ages trying to figure out. And we only really tested if it properly worked. We're stressing we didn't know if it worked or not. We only really tested that a few days before the launch. But this works as, obviously, it can host a web server, but it also acts as an access point, so you can connect to it. So we've kind of hacked around with MicroPython. So when you turn this on, in your Wi-Fi, there'll be a Wi-Fi called GurgleApps, which you can connect to this. And then from there, on the interface we've made, you go to 192.168.4.1 when connected to this Wi-Fi, and there's an interface where you can connect the word clock to your house Wi-Fi. So that's what we figured out how to do.
And then, yeah.
And then from there, it's easy. You just connect to the word clock's IP address.
Yeah. And it flashes the IP address to let you know
Yeah.
what it is on the word clock. And Bob your uncle. And yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I guess you could have somebody come in and change the time or change the clock remotely. Remember when we've had a few shows, Ash, where we actually took like the unicorn or something, and we've made them remote accessible, and people were able to like tweet at it or something like that, and it would show a scroll. So
Yeah.
that is really neat. So before we went on, we were talking about how this took you about a year to design. What is in your roadmap and pipeline? What's the next big GurgleApps project?
We don't want to give too much away, so we're not going to state what they actually are. But obviously, got them here, coasters.
Oh yeah.
VS Code cheat sheet, Raspberry Pi Pico. So they're in our shop. Get one if you want. But we want to release loads more coasters. So we've got quite a few
in the pipeline. So
yeah.
And then obviously, because we've just finished the word clock, maybe there'll be more updates on the word clock and everything.
And then we've got more products like the word clock, like kits and little things you can buy. Don't want to say what they are yet, partly just in case they don't work out.
Yeah.
And also,
we look really silly because they've
Understood. What I think though is so great is that the word clock is not something that everybody has seen or done before. Like, so many kits, and I love them, but so many kits are robot kits, and there's so many lovely kits like this where you can get something and you can make a robot that drives around, and that's fun. But then after a while it's like, oh, another robot, and I'm pretty much just driving it around, right? Whereas, and maybe you get sensors on it, and maybe you get a camera on it, but to have something that's like an IoT device like that, that like I don't know of any other kit that makes something like that. And so that's very impressive, because now you have something that most people haven't tried yet, even if you've tried a lot of kits, which I have, right? This is something really different and new, and also useful too, right? Like, you could totally use that as a clock in your room. Is there a way of adding sound to it? Does it have like a speaker, or could one add a speaker to it to make it an alarm clock?
It's not got a speaker in the kit. That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. I mean,
But like we said, everything's open source. We
Yeah.
might add one, but inside obviously there's a Raspberry Pi Pico W,
mm,
and then only 3 pins are used up
mm,
on the Pico W to connect to the
to the
matrix display. So you could add one and edit the code because everything's open source.
I mean, that's what I think. So,
it wouldn't fit in this casing though, so we'd have to change that, or you
Mm.
could change it like
well, the casing is so easy to dismantle and mantle back together. I
it's
mean,
just held together.
it is. The casing is so easy to just take apart. It's 3 layers,
4
4 layers, sorry, including the face, and then it's just held together by the screws there, and you can just dismantle the screws so easily and get to the Raspberry Pi. I think that's sort of the Raspberry Pi Pico, and was sort of the aim of it as well. Is it's a project that it's not something that's just all closed off. Oh, that's our puppy.
No, that's
Well,
our big dog.
our big dog. Sorry, someone's just knocked at the door.
Does the
but
puppy solder also?
Sorry?
Does the puppy solder also?
That would be cool if she did. She probably sold her better than I can. But with the word clock, we just tried to make it so that you can access it as easily as possible. Like you can just get inside and see how it works.
That also at school, Ziva's primary school,
Mm.
they're all iPads, so is our high school.
Mm.
All iPads, and you can't really do anything with an iPad. Like it's all enclosed. You can't
Yeah.
mess around with it. You can't code it or anything.
No.
So this is something more like you can take it apart, mess around with it, add what you want to it.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that it looks quite eye-catching to, I guess, a younger kid, and they see it and they want it. But then when they see how easy it is to assemble and how there's only, two main components. There's only 2 main components that you need for it to work. Yeah. So when they see how simple the kit is and see how easy it is to assemble and how easy it is just to get the code onto the Raspberry Pi Pico, then hopefully it'll open up to them a world of, using the Raspberry Pi Pico, because how cool is that as just a device to use in general? Like you can make so many cool projects with them. And then, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
To have a young kid.
It
But
is
even older as well.
It is awesome. As a kid at heart, I can't wait to play with one. So anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I really want to encourage everybody to check out GurgleApps.com, where you can see the videos and you can also order the word clock. And I know that that these folks are really busy fulfilling orders. So make sure to get your order in soon, so that you're not waiting too long to get
there's a mess over there.
to get your clock and play with it. We'll be back again next week with another exciting guest, although it'll be hard to top this week's guest. But and we'll see you all then at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And are you guys? Is it 7:30 there now, or are you still on 6:30?
7:30.
We changed.
7,
We're now British
7:30
summer
now.
time, so it's
7:30. Yeah.
I hate it that there's this gap where sometimes we're not on DST at the same time, at the exact same time. We should all move to Swatch internet time. That would solve all the problems. All right. Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks for having
Bye.
us.